Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another competitive event. Once more, I was free Thursday, so decided to host yet another event. Turnout's been fantastic at 18 players. The only difference today, compared to my usual elimination events, is we're doing single elimination, not double elimination. And that's to see like how much time we can save, if people prefer the format, and all the rest of it. We're just experimenting with it. It's not necessarily something I'm going to stick with, but it is a solution to the fact that events have been increasing in popularity lately, so that can help cut down on the time. Not that I hate long marathon double eliminations per se, but I understand that people are concerned about that sometimes, and people have other things to do, all the rest of it, so it's totally understandable. So that's the one piece of it. And I also think that sometimes a single elimination adds more, I guess, tension to a fight. So I think single elimination has its own advantages as far as fun that way as well. Not to say it's better than double elimination, but that both I think are legitimate tournament formats. So we'll experiment with this, and if people dislike it or they prefer it, whichever, just let me know at the end of the event, and I might implement it more often if we get events of 13 plus people more often. But we'll see. Without further ado, let's get Insignificance against Synth Usami. That'll be our first fight, which will be very exciting. And the rules have not changed. A reminder of that. The only big thing is that there's no losers bracket. And I'll be in commentator talks as usual. If people want to listen while fighting but don't want the extra bandwidth in the background while they're playing on my parsec. So Insignia on the left, Synth on the right. Unfortunately, these two got the short end of the stick as far as the extra bracket having to fight, but that's unavoidable. It was nice and even at 16, but a bunch of people joined, so it is what it is. Oh yes, if you want Steam, let me know. That's totally fine as well. All right, waiting for Insignia to join first, and we'll go from there. Meanwhile, I'll boot up the game. Get the game capture sorted out. Yeah, it should be Hellish Quart right now. There we go. Yeah, it's already on. Here we go. Insignia is in. Now we just get sent the Steam link, and it should work. Usually on my host anyway, for whatever reason, it seems to work just fine, regardless of who selects first or whatever. But occasionally, of course, it'll bug out because Steam Remote and Parsec do conflict a little bit, but for the most part, I don't do anything special. I just let them both in, and it tends to work. And the worst case scenario is they'll have to restart later. Insignia's here. And if anybody needs keyboard, feel free to let me know. Let's turn this off completely, because fencing priority is, to be honest, pretty stupid. I think we all agree on that. It's for beginners, really, is what it is. It's not ideal. Also, why does it keep changing? I want it on never, not anytime. I don't know why these settings keep changing, but yeah. Anyway, just some weird Kubold coding stuff going on there. Having to go in and switch that stuff. It's worth looking at your settings and just seeing if everything's where you want it to be. Yeah, that's understandable, and that's why we're experimenting with this. I don't have a name. Yeah, I totally understand that. Is Synth able to select? You should have keyboard. And like I said, it's not necessarily going to be for every event. It's just going to be based on the turnout. So if we're at 13 plus, give or take, I think if people like this format, it's worth considering doing single elimination. Nothing's going on. Just select. Synth mysteriously disconnected. All right, go ahead. Maybe we have to reset game pads because I don't know why Synth can't select, especially if keyboard, unless I'm not saying Insigni's doing it intentionally. I mean, there's bugs that can happen like this where Insigni might be taking the input by mistake, but I'm not sure. Like, please hold. I don't know how to. Well, there's not much I can do about that because I'm in the game. Like, I don't know how you fix that. Well, I'm not in a different window. That's the thing. Yeah, I'll try that. I don't know why Steam does that with me. Like, I'm not at all in any sort of different window. I'm just looking at the character select screen. You guys can see that on the stream as well. I'm literally just in the game. What the heck? Alright, if you're willing to try Parsec, we can do that. Might be good to kick you from Steam Remote before you join, but yeah. Keyboard, go ahead. The weird thing is, Insigni's able to select, so I mean, clearly I'm streaming the game, hence he's able to select his character, but that's why I'm really confused by what could be happening. I've disabled completely the Discord overlay, because I thought that might be causing it, but that's not it, so I don't know. I don't have any other overlay over the game right now, so anyway. It might be that Parsec is considered its own overlay by Steam now, so that could be causing the problem. Anyway, let's commentate the fight. We got this sorted out. It looks like Synth is willing to use Parsec, and it's a lot of doubles in the opening of this fight. And I got pinged about something, so I'll have a look quickly on my phone. It's a Barabash mirror, which I'm very surprised by. Synth is not known for playing Bara, although she can play a very good Yawn, so there's definitely some skills that can be translated both ways. They have some similar moves. Although Yawn tends to play more of a rangy game, whereas Barabash plays a more explosive sort of pressure game. But I have to say they're both doing very well so far. Nice cut. Making it 1-1. Still best of 3, by the way. Nothing has changed as far as the flag or the rounds. Good beatdown of the Thunder Punch. That seems to be the best way to stop that move. You gotta react to it. It wouldn't be YouTube, because YouTube isn't... Like, there's no YouTube overlay over the game, so... Whoa, snap cut into... That was a leg void. Now Synth is tired, but it's still a double. Very nicely done. Can you join late? We just started, but I can probably somehow get you in. I just hope it doesn't fuck up the matches. We're gonna have to wait till after this fight, Piper, but we'll try and work something out. So that'll be 19-person tournament, which I think makes it all the more necessary to at least give a single elimination a try. And again, it's not that I'm necessarily against long events. I think they do also have their charm, but it is worth experimenting with single elimination, and we've done so before, actually. In the early days of the community, single elimination was pretty common because we used to get these sorts of numbers regularly. So, definitely nothing wrong with at least giving it a try. Very even fight so far, a lot of aggression by both sides. Nice low cut after the parry by Synth. Also, I think I was mistaking. I thought Synth was on the left for some reason, but Insigny actually was on the left. But yeah, 3-3. Nice chop there by Synth. And they both sidestep, but Synth was a little bit quicker there. And took the handoff. They're definitely mirroring each other quite a bit. Synth is good to go. Alright, that's good to see that Synth's internet is handling Parsec well, especially from so far away. Able to block the Thunder Punch, which is nice to see. It is a blockable move, although it does seem to threaten Barabash's guard pretty well. So it's definitely not a move to underestimate, despite how reckless it is. Nice. Down to the wire. Very nice opening to this tournament. Okay, you don't need to spam the pause button. Alright, I think it was just a lag spike for Insigny. Very unfortunate timing, but nobody got hit. And Insigny needs one more. Chop by both. Synth got a hit on a deeper target, it looks like, so more damage for Synth. And yeah, Insigny tried that YXB combo. That's 2 downward cuts into an upcut, but it was a little bit too slow and overly aggressive. There's a chop, and Insigny does not capitalize on that stun. He could have finished it right there, but he didn't because he probably didn't expect that to land. The Thunder Punch, a little bit out of measure and gets hit right in the head. Very intense fight so far. We'll be switching sides, but in a moment, I just want to get Piper into the tournament if I can. Unfortunately, people joining late is a little annoying to deal with. If I just go to settings and quickly unstart the tournament, that should allow me to do that. it won't be long. I'll just send Piper some invite and hurry up, Piper. Or just join the tournament. Pick. Hurry it up. Piper. No, it's all good. It's just we're waiting because we in the middle of the tournament. You can also try joining yourself. That might just work on its own. Beautiful. Okay. Piper is fighting Magic Mix. So let's continue with the fight. I'll switch sides. Or switch the names. Brilliant fight to start us off here. Hall of Fame worthy Barabash exchanges. Yeah, just think, Pekla, the time he put in to making that short is time he could have put in to fixing the lighting in the game, to fixing some of the parts of the new map. It's time he could have put into removing dynamic muscles from the game and putting it on the test version, or at least not making it the default setting. And these are all like 10-minute fixes. It does not take very long to make these sorts of changes, but he refuses to do it. Because literally with the lighting, he could just reverse the change that he made that added the spotlight and everything would be just fine, so. Not perfect, obviously, like Kugel's lighting has never been perfect, but it would certainly be way better. At least on this map, it's not so evident, I think, but you can still see, like, thankfully this arena is pretty tiny, and we're used to having artificial light, so it doesn't look so bad. But there's a lot of other matches, or maps, I should say, where it just doesn't work. So thankfully, the sort of competitive arena still looks good enough, but the church map, for instance, is very unplayable lately because of the lighting update. Nice chop by Synth. Let's focus on this fight, which continues to be really intense. As Synth forces another double there of the chop. Snap cut there, Synth on the defensive, but Insignia getting a good angle and just goes in. Nice. Snap cut there by Synth. No kill. Sidestep and backs off just in time as Insignia tries to punish it. Beautifully done. The Thunder Punch does connect, and there's the YY. Chop there. Nicely done by Synth. Down to the wire. Synth looking to close this fight, though. If she does so, Insignia will be eliminated. So there's a lot of pressure on Insignia, but he does have a lead. So it is totally possible that he makes it 1-1. These two fighters have been evenly matched. It would be a little bit of a shame for one of them to be eliminated, but that's just how it is. Oh, and there's the sidestep making it 1-1. Insigny managing to clinch it there. Okay. We're not done yet. It's 1-1. Insigny. I don't know what's happening now. Back to the same characters. Possibly. Although obviously there's no pressure. You can switch if you want. There's no harm in that. Chop there trying to hit the hand back. Why? Thunder Punch is deflected. Nicely done. It's really how you deal with a Thunder Punch, it seems. Is you just fight for the center and it gets deflected like a thrust. Certainly in this mirror match, that's how that works. Kalkstein has a lot of issues with that move, though. Nice. Spacing out the leg cut, and then there's a chop to the head. Moving beautifully here. Very impressed. Already showing some promise with Barabash. It's not easy to do it all. At first he seems simple to play, but to actually apply pressure with Barabash in a way that doesn't expose you does take a lot of practice. You know, like stuff like that. The leg cut is a good move, but if you initiate with it, there goes your head type of thing. One of the best leg cuts in the game if timed perfectly, but it very often also doesn't kill in one hit. You do have to follow it up, so it has some disadvantages compared to, say, Alexander's leg cut, which reaches farther and is more likely to kill. But it still exposes the head, at least. And there's a cut by Synth, who's getting an advantage this fight. I think Synth is just playing the distance management game a bit better. And so, it's leading to some good results. Managing to deflect the Thunder Punch. Reminder that it actually does behave like a cut, so auto guard sometimes can respond to it. Ooh. There's an interesting time for a leg void. I assume Insigny inputted a leg cut. There's a trade of cuts there. Insigny trying to go low, but he is tired now. Synth was a little bit greedy there after Insigny got tired briefly. And they both land the same sidestep. Both have taken some damage. They still seem pretty closely matched, but it's just the distance management on... I don't know how Synth didn't land that. That was a really nicely placed snap cut. But Synth overall has just been doing way better with the distance management. And that's what's making the difference here. One more needed for Synth. Insigny tries a sidestep, but he cancelled it and took 2 hits. Even if he tried to use it, he probably would have been hit. So, very nicely done by Synth. Great adjusting on her part, and she moves on. Insigny is unfortunately eliminated, but it was definitely a very disputed fight, especially earlier on. Some really heated exchanges there. So thank you for competing, Insigny. Hope to see you in future events. And keep up the Barabash work. You're doing great. And now I'm fighting Mike, so we might see yet another Barabash mirror, which is exciting. And then Piper after that will fight Magic Mix. who I haven't seen a lot from, to be honest. I think Magic Mix uses Marina, but I'm not sure. Uh, so we'll see how he does against such a aggressive elite player as Piper. Mike is here, it looks like. Nice. And I'll be on the left, Mike on the right. Oh, something about Steam overlay. Yeah, that could be. Although I didn't really disable the Steam one, but I think I get what you're trying to say. There could be something related to that at play, for sure. I wouldn't know what, but it's totally possible. Alright, good luck, Mike. All right, and that's it. GG, Mike. Very, very good effort. Your aggressive bar bash definitely required some adjustments. I was surprised by how hard it was in the first match. You did very well with that. Um, yeah, his style is very, very different from mine. It's a lot closer to Piper's in that way. He loves walking you down with combos versus the explosive movement that I prefer to employ. But he did a great job. Managed to adjust in the end. I think sometimes he was a little bit too aggressive, and once I adjusted to that, I think he should have also made some adjustments. But beyond that, great bar bash once more, proving why many look up to him as a bit of a prodigy of bar bash. He's definitely still has some ways to go, but he continuously challenges the best, and I expect even better from Mike as he improves. So He will definitely beat me one of these times. Alright, Piper against Magic. Yeah, good game, Mike. That was fun. Yes, 19 players. That's why we're doing single elimination. I was planning to do it if we had 13 or more. Uh, we're well past that point, so I think single elimination will be best. But as I said, will it necessarily be the format I switch to? Not necessarily. If people prefer the double elimination, we'll stick with that. And obviously, if we have, around 12 or less players, unless it's less than 8, we can still do double elimination. But I think that's going to be my rule of thumb unless people really, really want the double elimination events to come back. Because I do enjoy those as well. It's just they do take longer. So that is the disadvantage. But the advantage is people get a second chance. There's more fights. There's a bit of a story. So I could also rotate them as well. That is an option. Yeah, just let me know what you guys think after the event, and I'll take that feedback into consideration. All right, Magic Mix on the left, Piper on the right. They're both here. If anybody needs keyboard, that'd be Magic Mix. If anybody, just let me know. That's not a problem. It's just that Parsec enables controllers by default, but not keyboard. Game is running very smoothly, which is good to see. I haven't noticed any like FPS drops or anything. Yeah, Marina, no surprise there against Hassan. I think these two have actually fought in a tournament before, just not my tournament yet. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, I'm just gonna head to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. If I'm not back in time to switch the names, you guys can continue fighting. Just make sure you switch sides in the second round. Okay. I'm back, and it looks like Piper has lost the first fight, which is a bit of an upset because Piper is a veteran of the server. He's been with us for a very, very long time. Magic Mix only recently joined, but he's showing some promise with Marina. Almost called her Marie. We'll see if Piper switches from Hassan. He actually does not. He doesn't want to use Alex, which is interesting. It's sort of like this fight from what I saw. It's like the unstoppable force meets the impenetrable wall. The wall won so far, but we'll see if something can change here. Piper hitting the head beautifully there with that X cut. getting into range and finding a good angle as a result. Push, a bit of a delayed follow-up there. Something with Hassan is sometimes if you're not picking the right moves, it's a little bit slower, but in this case, it was still more than fast enough. Magic Mix, sorry, gets the... I'm confusing two people, apparently, mashing their names together. But Magic Mix getting another flag, and Piper missed that, wow. I don't know what move that was. It isn't a move I've seen before, I don't think, but pretty wild miss there. Piper getting a flag. And a hit. Another one, nice. Bit of a taunt there. Piper with 2 X cuts there, managing to get a kill. 4-4, very even fight now. As Piper's made some adjustments, I think his distance management with the pushes has improved, and his placement of the cuts has been impressive, able to get past the shield now. Ooh, doesn't follow up that leg cut. That would have been a kill if Magic Mix managed to do that. There's the dash into thrust bow, a very forcing move that you have to respond to with either something like long guard or you beat the blade with a quick cut. I find beating the blade with a quick cut is the easiest method, but it can be easier said than done. You've got to know the telegraph and you've got to be ready for it, because it will bypass auto guard a lot of the time. But if it fails, it's a very high risk move. Piper nearly getting a kill there, but Magic Mix was able to defend in time. And now it's down to the wire as Piper's hoping to stay in the tournament. He pushes out of measure, pushes again, and Piper takes it. Wow, I love how his game plan did not change, even though he was a flag away from elimination. That is Piper for you. It doesn't matter what the situation is. He keeps moving forward. He keeps putting on the pressure, and even the best players can collapse under that pressure before they know it. And so Piper's actually going to stick with Hassan. No Alex from Piper this time. Hassan is his second main at this point. He typically uses Alex, but he's recently been playing Hassan because he feels, and this is Piper's own thoughts, this isn't just what the community thinks, he thinks that Alex is a bit broken lately, having so many advantages and not a lot of disadvantages, so he's going with a character that still fits his style, but doesn't feel so broken. So Hassan is a good fit for him because of that. And it is pretty fair to say, I would say, that Alex might well be the best character in the game right now because of how many powerful tools he has. So I think that's a pretty uncontroversial opinion. Most people think Alex is indeed the best right now. It's not that he's unbeatable. He's absolutely beatable, but very, very powerful character. 2-2. Very even fight once more. And going in with those upcuts is smart. Hassan is very exposed to those types of hits. Even more so than Alex. Alex actually mysteriously blocks a lot of them. But Hassan is not at all the same. So Piper has to be a little bit careful with that. Usually his sort of walk down style relies a little bit on that guard. And yeah, it's not looking so good. It looks like Magic Mix is figuring out how to counter this aggression. And often, although Piper is a fantastic aggressive player, the problem he runs into is when an opponent can break up that aggression quickly, he often doesn't have a clear answer. But Piper still carries on forward. He does what Piper does. We'll see if he can make a comeback with this aggressive play. There's a push. Piper gets another kill. If Piper manages his distance well, it does seem like very often Marina doesn't have an easy response. There's a push again, but Piper ends up getting blocked, and there's a cut that takes his nose right off. And Piper is eliminated in quite an upset, it has to be said. But Magic Mix did great, so it was a well-deserved victory. And Magic Mix moves on to fight a beer a bit later in the tournament, but for now, we'll do Venator against Deaf Daisy, since that's the order on the bracket. Yeah, it looked like a really intense fight. Even though you did a great job of breaking up Piper's aggression, it definitely looked like he was applying a lot of pressure on your defenses. So very well done for holding up under such pressure. And I just realized we need a bronze match. Let me see if I can add that in. It's just for rankings. It's good to have a clear third place. I don't see an option for that right now. Maybe I have to unstart the tournament. I'll do that quickly. That's a pretty simple fix. I just re-enter the scores if needed. Should be an easy way to add that in. Maybe it's just because I've already started it that it's not available. Huh. See, there used to be an option for a bronze match. And I don't see that. I don't know why that's the case. No, the tournament is already underway, so break placements. Why did they move it, I wonder? Because it never used to be there, from my understanding. But thank you for that. Because you used to have something called bronze matches, is what they were called. But that's okay. We'll start the tournament. And I have to redo the scores, but that's fine. I'm just doing that real quick. All right. And Def Daisy here, we're just waiting for Venator. Here we are. He might have already tried to join and it didn't see it somehow. By the way, Mosin, I don't recognize you, but if you want to join future events, you can do so through the Discord, which is linked in the description. And it's also linked on my channel if you can't find the Discord through there, if the link is dead or something. You can also just search us up, look up Hellish Quart PvP server. You'll find us easily. And we do events weekly. We also do casual matches. We also play other games as well and just hang out and talk about all things related to martial arts, swords, and whatever other topic. You're in the Discord already? Well, keep an eye on the announcements. That's where we announce these tournaments. It's good to join beforehand. Because when we're already well underway, it's very awkward to let people in. So I want to keep the matchups as they are now. I let some others join because we were very early, but now that we've advanced to the next round, I think we're going to have to put a cap on that for this event. So, Alexander, or Denise, he's called Denise now in the game, which is just his third name, but they're the same, it's the same person, versus Marina. Venator is actually a really good Alex player, potentially the best in the server, although Tao is also in contention. Venator is primarily known for Isabella, but he does play quite a bit of Alex as well. And so far, it's actually a pretty even fight. Daisy does have a reputation for knocking Venator out of tournaments, so we'll see if that actually plays out here. That might be part of the motivation for picking Alex instead of Isabella, because Isabella does struggle against Marina quite a bit. Venator tries to go low, a little out of measure, also Daisy out of measure, but Daisy does get a hit as Venator tries to close the distance. Push there by Venator, and there's a hit. And there's a retreat cut by Daisy after landing a nice kick. Obviously looking for an upcut, but it was a little bit too close. Still a nice follow-up with that kick, and Daisy needs one more, and we might see another upset coming up. As Venator tries to go for a push, Daisy goes for a counter push. Both were out of measure. Venator's longer saber allows him to score the kill. Goes low. That is one of Alexander's primary advantages here, plus his guard. His guard is as good as Marina's, if not better, believe it or not. He's got lots of damage, lots of reach, really fast footwork, really good sidesteps, the best single tempos in the game. He has lots and lots of tools. But a good Marina player can still surprise a lot of players, despite being on paper quite a bit weaker. That shield allows for some pretty powerful single tempos in her own right, and a good active sort of defense as Daisy gets a bit too close there and pays for it. Venator still managing to win. Def Daisy, by the way, is a fantastic Hellish Quart player, don't get me wrong, but the experience difference here is still quite massive, so Venator's definitely the favorite here, especially in the rankings. Yeah, there's literally nothing that can be done because YouTube is delayed. That's just by nature of how YouTube works. I have it on the setting where there's less delay and my connection is solid, but because YouTube is delayed, it's always going to be like that. That's why it's best to watch from YouTube. Don't watch from Discord. There's no stream on Discord, so there's no point in listening to me over there unless you are actually fighting. You won't notice any delay if you just watch the YouTube video. And there's a push, but a hit to the head by Daisy. Yeah, Twitch is a little bit better that way. And I was considering using Twitch when I first started streaming, but YouTube, it's easier to get noticed, I find. So I will probably stick to YouTube for the time being. If I hypothetically got big, then I would switch to, or maybe not necessarily switch, because you can do multi-streaming now, but I might consider then streaming on Twitch as well, But yeah, on YouTube, just the algorithm seems a bit more favorable, so gonna stick with YouTube for now. Not to say I'm blowing up or anything, but I am getting consistent views. And slowly growing, so it's nice. But I'm not in it, obviously, to go viral. If I do, I'll welcome it, of course, but probably not happening. And that's fine. It's more so a medium for streaming these tournaments and whatever else I just feel like blabbering about or playing, so. Yeah, it is quite hard. There's a lot of competition on Twitch, I think. And just the algorithm works a bit differently. There's a back wide. Venator making some nice adjustments, and he's looking to eliminate Def Daisy here. We'll see if he manages that. Goes low, and there's a back wide. Nice bait with the low cut. If it landed, obviously great. It was still a threat that Daisy had to address, but Venator was also looking to use that as a bait if it missed. So that was very well done. And there's a push by Venator, showing that pushes are still very effective if used properly. And Venator takes it. 2-0, but it was a disputed fight. I'm sure he's relieved that this fight went his way. John the Baptist against Glorious Purpose now. I think Glorious said, somebody said they'd be a bit late, but I see that he's in the Discord now, so that's good. If not, we can always skip over a fight and do another one. Yeah, no worries. Take your time. There's no massive rush or anything. And, worst case scenario, if you need some time to sort that out, we can do another fight as well. I really don't mind. Yeah, so round 2 is really the main round, so to speak. Round 1 was kind of just to get rid of the stray extra brackets, but now we're sort of in the meat and potatoes of the event. And there is a third place match, by the way, so if you make it to the semifinals, make sure you don't go away if you lose. There will still be a third place fight, and we'll do that before the finals. And that's for the purposes of the rankings, and it's also nice to get a second chance just to at least fight for a third place, and instead of being in an awkward limbo where you're like tied for fourth or third and it's just weird. It's definitely nicer to be able to at least earn that bronze medal. And a lot of people actually prefer bronze medal over silver medal because at least you don't have to feel bad about almost winning the whole thing. But it's personal preference. If you get third place a lot and you seem cursed to get third place a lot, though, that can also have its own uh, morale debuff, so to speak. Okay, so just acknowledge John the Baptist comment there on Discord. I really do think it though, Venator. Although Piper is definitely in the conversation, as is Tao. Um, I think you strike a good balance between offense and defense with him, so that's why I tend to think yours is a bit better. But on a good day, Pipers can definitely beat anybody. There's no question about that. And maybe in my prime I was the best. That's also possible. I know a lot of people say I was the best, Alex, but nowadays I don't think so. I really would need to practice some more. And I would like to see some changes with him first before I do that. So, gonna see what happens if you use your house Wi-Fi instead of extender. Yeah, if you continue to run into issues, let me know. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, don't be afraid. Like if you get some lag or something, like not just delay, especially if you're in Europe, but actual lag, like don't be afraid to pause the game or something. And I'll call you, I think I did this before. I'll call you Baptist on here just because uh the full name is kind of long. And John is a very generic name, so I don't think you want to be called John. But together it's a nice one. All right. So John the Baptist on the left and Glorious on the right. If you guys need keyboard, let me know. Been playing some chess games with Glorious, by the way. I have to say, when he plays chess, he's a very creative player. So I'm curious how that might relate to how he approaches Hellish Court. If there's some connection, or if it's just how he plays chess. Some players I have observed, they play chess exactly the same way they play Hellish Court, and it's pretty fascinating. Piper plays a lot of chess, and when he plays chess, he does wacko openings that are very aggressive. So he really gets in your face with his pieces, and it looks like he's blundering stuff, but very often he's not. So you can get blown off the board if you're not careful playing against him. Yeah, I gave you keyboard. Maybe click the window. One moment. There we are. Sometimes you gotta do it over and over again until it works. There's another marina. Look out for Peter in the next tournament. Yeah, it's gonna be a big event tomorrow with Simo, by the way. A big YouTuber showing up, so that'll be exciting. Definitely an event you don't want to miss. If you got plans, screw those plans, because that's a very important event to show up to. Obviously, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but like if there's an event you don't want to miss, it really is that one. Ooh, nice sidestep. Very advanced tactic there by Glorious. It's something a lot of players do at the higher levels. They dash to the side instead of doing a sidestep move to get to a position where they can launch a counterattack. It can leave you exposed, but Marina at least has the shield, so. I'm not sure. There's been quite a few Marina players this time around, but we'll see what happens with that. It's a bit of a knowledge check as well for John the Baptist. Marina, honestly, she's probably like low A tier to B tier. She isn't the best of characters. She has quite a few weaknesses, but that shield is still something you have to keep in mind and something you have to adapt your strategy to. If you don't, the shield can still surprise you, and it can definitely allow an opponent to get really in your face and single tempo you. So she does what she does very well. It's just that she doesn't have the best HP, her reach isn't the highest, her hand is exposed, and John the Baptist is doing a great job of recognizing that sword hand is vulnerable to being hit. So, although on paper you'd think Saber and Shield is at an advantage against single Saber, not necessarily the case, especially if the single Saber is longer, as is the case here. even in real life, there's techniques that have been devised for this exact matchup by Hutton, so. And it's talking about how to deal, and this is his quotation, not mine, how to deal with uncivilized swordsmen. Okay, so he's talking about Indian warriors, Afghans, North Africans, these sorts of people. Naturally, given the colonialism at the time, he calls them uncivilized, but, you know, that's the language that was used at the time. I can't change that. And he talks about grappling and taking advantage of your reach and these sorts of things to deal with that type of an opponent. Because even in the 19th century, people were still using shields in those parts of the world, so. Yeah, he totally was thinking about this exact matchup. Yeah, 100%. But it's a very close fight in all seriousness. John the Baptist could win it, so could Glorious. And yeah, we'll see. Looking like a very tactical fight. And Glorious able to break up that offensive as John the Baptist, I would say, got a little bit too close. Glorious is a very experienced Marina, so he immediately capitalized on that opportunity. But very good effort so far by John the Baptist, and it's not over yet. I kind of chuckle at this name as well, John the Baptist, because it's clearly based on, well, John the Baptist, right? But also, there's the French version, Jean Baptiste. And during my practicum, I was teaching, my first practicum, that is, I was teaching grade 7 social studies. So that's like politics, civics, but in that grade level, it's mostly history, really. And Canadian history in particular. And it's amazing how many Jean Baptiste there were at that time, like in the 1600s, 1800s, 1700s. There were so many of them. And these poor students have to memorize all of them for tests and stuff. It's really crappy. We have a lot of Jean Baptistes who are very important in Canadian history. Because the French were here even before the British were, so. Nice, hit to the head there by Glorious. Something I've noticed with a lot of European languages, by the way, they all have their own version of the name John. And it's always without fail. Maybe for some exceptions like Hungary or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's popular there too. But like a lot of places in Europe, they have some equivalent for that name. And it all comes from the same root meaning. Whether it's Jan in places like Poland or even Germany, or if it's John in English. Yeah, Johann as well. There's that as well. Germany has that one. That's the interesting part. Germany has sometimes different variations of essentially the same name with the same root meaning, but different pronunciation and spelling. Ooh, nice hit there. Glorious looking to secure a win here. Definitely secured quite an advantage this second round. And there it is. John the Baptist put on a good show. Did a great job that first round against a much more experienced opponent, but wasn't able to win in the end. But very good try. Hope to see more of you in future tournaments, and keep at it. You'll get better at the game. We've all been there. Unfortunately, the competition at this point in the game is just really high level, so it's tough for even the best of players to succeed. So still did a great job. Hope to see more of you. And you did some great stuff, especially that first round. Now we've got Luck against Apostle, which is an exciting matchup. Apostle is a good general saber player, whereas Luck is more so known for Isabella, but he can dip his toes into saber if needed and do very well there too. Luck is also a veteran of the server, and he's known for being the fastest player out of everyone else, reaction time wise, and even like movement wise. He does fantastic. Makes Isabella look very fast, and his Barabash is probably the fastest Barabash there is. Although I do expect Luck to use Isabella this time around, but we'll see. He might switch it up if he runs into some trouble. Okay, Luck on the left, Apostle on the right. Again, if anyone needs keyboard, just let me know. And we're doing pretty good for time, I would say. It's only been an hour. And this second round is the biggest by far out of all the rounds. So once we get past this one, especially that, given we're doing single elimination, we'll be done at a pretty reasonable hour. Especially because I started the tournament deliberately an hour earlier than usual. That was because some of us do daylight savings time, some of us don't. Turns out the timing has changed for some players as far as like when my event's being hosted, so it's kind of skewed later. So some people wanted me to dial it back to 10 o'clock my time, because that's basically the same time for a lot of players who don't use the daylight savings time. So this way we're not going past midnight as much, so that's the reasoning behind that. And it looks like it works for everybody, so I might stick with that until we turn the clocks back. Then I'll go back to 11 a.m. my time. Back to the fight so far. Luck is dominating this fight of Isabella. This can be a tough fight sometimes for Tarna, has to be said. The reach of the long sword is a pretty big advantage for Isabella, plus her defense is very solid. That snap cut goes straight to the head. Luck is amazing at landing that. And he needs one more to get a flawless win. He did fantastic, by the way, in the last tournament I hosted. In fact, he won the whole thing decisively. So props to Luck for that, and he's definitely looking to do the same today. There's a high guard there by Apostle. I don't know if he meant to do that, but he was well into measure there, so Luck just punished it. Yeah, just Luck completely going nuts, showing us why he's considered so fast. Yazid there, that can be a tough matchup for Isabella, but Luck is probably just going to lock in and do what he usually does. We'll see if just a simple character switch will be enough. Apostle can play a lot of Saber characters very well, so Yazid could prove to be a good choice, but Luck calling out the feint there for an early lead. Beautiful hit to the hand. Thrust there to the arm, no kill, but very nicely done by Luck. Yazid's guard is one of the best in the game, so you very often have to call out his feints or to try and slip something in between his attacks, but it can be easier said than done. Luck's timing so far, though, is very sharp. Thrust attempt into a massive cut, and there's an upcut to the hand. Nice recovery there by Apostle after absorbing the initial pressure from Luck. Good patience. There's an exchange between these two. Yazid's also a very fast character of his cuts, so that's another thing that Isabella might have to contend with. Again, Luck's reaction time can compensate to some extent, but the fact is, character-wise, that Yazid is faster, so bit of a lag spike perhaps for one of the players. We will, hopefully nobody got hit. I'll unpause the game and you guys will just separate, okay? Yep, nobody was hit. That's good. Just long guard when you're ready to go. Beautiful. You guys can continue. Sometimes these lag spikes happen, especially if you're from Europe, but they usually subside really quickly so long as the connection is stable. So that's good. Nice thrust there by Luck. Luck remains ahead, but it is a disputed fight this time. I think the Yazid pick was good on Apostle's part. It's just a question of if it will be enough or not. Tries to go on the offensive there, but Luck with some active defense there and the back Y. Yeah, the push was a little bit of a mistake by Apostle, especially out of measure like that. Thrust in the cut there. Apostle thought he had a chance. Luck is taking control back after some adjustments. And only needs one more to eliminate Apostle. Some cuts by Luck, testing the waters a bit, and then just goes in. Relentless by Luck, turns it into another decisive win. And yeah, definitely gotta watch out for Luck this competition again. He's on fire. Not much more to say there. Oak against BK now. These two will now make their debut in this event. Oak being a veteran of the server, BK a bit newer, but he's a seasoned player by now who can challenge the best, so definitely not somebody that Oak can underestimate. But if he were to be eliminated, it would be quite an upset. Definitely not impossible, although we've seen stuff like this, especially in a single fight where elimination's on the line. It is 100% possible that BK may win. BK usually plays Jan. Oak is more so known for Yazik lately, but he did switch to Gideon and put on an excellent show last event on Tao's host, so maybe he'll use Gideon. He seems to have expressed some... Well, it wasn't really interest. What happened was he was kind of roped into playing Gideon, so... by Synth, so... We'll see what happens with that if he sticks with Gideon for the course, I think it was 2 weeks or whatever, or if he will go back to Yazik at some point. Gideon against Jan can be pretty tough for Gideon because of the reach difference and the fact that Gideon's guard is quite exposed. There's a cut to the head. BK nicely done with that horizontal slash that is quite underused, I would say. Sort of a horizontal snap cut of sorts. That does put you at risk, but the angle that it picks is really, really nice against some characters. Some characters really struggle to block that if they are out of position. Oak's just making sure BK is good to go as he's mysteriously stopped moving. Good sportsmanship on Oak's part. Just long guard when you're ready to go. Yeah. Maybe he lost connection with his controller. That might have explained the random pause, but I'm not sure. That can happen sometimes. There's a hit from BK. BK, nevertheless, has a lead against Oak. Making good use of that longer saber to call Oak out. Thrust there, back Y. Yeah, BK knows the meta strategies of Jan and is employing them very well in this matchup. Gideon runs the risk of getting stun locked despite his HP, so it may not prove to be that much of an advantage. And yeah, Jan's HP, by the way, not bad either. It's a little bit higher than average, so he can take hits that you might not expect he'll be able to take, even in this matchup where Gideon does hit like a truck. As far as best characters in the game, Jan is up there as well. I wouldn't say he's the best. Alex definitely takes that title, but he is pretty close. Still a very strong character, and very simple to play compared to most, so he also has that going for him, and a lot of good offensive tools from range. As far as the best rangy character, Jan is probably top of the list. There's a reason why we meme about him being the best rapier, although he does have some good slashes too, as we can see. You can play him just like any other saber, but with more reach. But then he's got those quick stabs to fall back on as well, so a really diverse arsenal that he can use. Big slashes there. Low thrust. Corkscrew. Nice pressure there with thrust there by BK. And it's forcing Oak to defend, and Oak was not able to defend that corkscrew. A cut there. Oak does win the trade. Very nicely done by Oak. Big slash. Nice patience by BK, but he does take a single tempo cut. Not a kill, but it is a cut to the sword arm. There's a stab to the gut. No follow-up, though. Oak is somehow able to block it. Very nice movement by Oak. Using his in-and-out style with Gideon very effectively. And there's a trick shot attempt by BK. I'm not sure if he wanted to do that or if he wanted the corkscrew, but it's easy to accidentally trick shot with Jan. So it's quite possible that was accidental. And I think BK long guarded there, which allowed Oak to hit the hand. And now it's anybody's game. As Oak is a master of comebacks. There's a stab that cut, just missing his nose there. Still a good hit by BK that might prove decisive. He just has to make sure Oak is not able to hit him back. Keep his distance. The game plan pretty simple there. And the X cut is actually a very good single tempo option. It's a very nice move selection there by BK. Good angle. And he's able to take the lead. A very disputed fight, though, it has to be said. Yeah, same picks by both of them, which makes sense. They've both done well with their characters. BK just a little bit ahead. Somehow that cut from BK didn't land. That is crazy. Oak, oh my goodness, somehow BK is still not dead. He keeps recovering just in time. As Oak, with the pressure, there's a stab by BK. He's stuck in the corner, but he's fighting like a caged animal. He has to throw something, but it's tired swing, yeah, eventually. Very good try with BK. I honestly think he did everything he possibly could have there to stay alive and get the kill. It's just when you're tired like that, it's so difficult against an experienced player like Oak to make something happen. So kudos to him for surviving that long, stuck in the corner while tired, but it just was not enough. Big slashes by both, cinematic exchanges, but BK a bit on the back foot, I would say, as Oak is closing the distance, as he should with this character. That is his goal, ultimately, of Gideon. Nice movement by both. Hall of Fame worthy flag for sure. And a stab to the body as Oak tries to sidestep, but Jan stabs have surprisingly good tracking sometimes. At least those low stabs to the gut and the chest. So sidestepping them can be very difficult. You can sidestep the corkscrew sometimes, but oftentimes stepping to the side with that move will also allow the curve to land. So what you want to do with those types of stabs is you often want to square up against them with long guard if you can to have the best chance of defending against them. If you sidestep, you're actually putting yourself in more danger, despite the fact that it might seem intuitive. Plus, with the corkscrew specifically, the curve might find you if you pick the wrong direction. So there's also that risk there when trying to sidestep the saber. Again, excellent movement by both. Textbook, and BK somehow not landing a hit. But Oak's hit definitely did land, so Oak was able to get it. It definitely was going to be a bad time for BK no matter what. But It was just a question of if that cut was gonna kill or not. Ooh. Corkscrew there, point blank, but does get some graze damage. It wasn't enough, though. You usually want to stab from farther away to get the maximum damage, but it was a good way to at least get some damage. BK is somehow surviving as the sword happened to be in the way of one of those cuts. There's the tired swing by BK, and once more, under pressure, BK is somehow able to win despite being down on stamina. Or actually, before he didn't win, but he did very well. This time he actually, like, flat out won it, which was incredible. Yon's tired swing is pretty good, but if you do throw it, you are still stuck in the animation, so you are still at a disadvantage. But maybe it was move selection by Oak, impatience, who knows. Oak is usually very good, by the way, at punishing small mistakes, so it is very impressive that BK is not offering that many of them to Oak, although as I say that, that dash, very much a bit of an error there, a distancing error. But I do see what BK was trying to do. That looked a little jank, but BK did 100% land a stab. And there's a cut as Oak tries to do the same thing, tries to dash in. It's a very common thing at high levels, especially if you can space adjust right, to dash closer to your opponent or dash to the side for a better position. But it does leave you exposed. If you do it too much, you will just be called out. And there's 2 hits to the arm, but no kill. Oak is the one tired now. And BK getting a bit tired as well. He threw a few too many attacks, I suppose. Oak has managed to recover, although he has taken 2 hits to the arm, which is pretty nasty. Probably one more hit will decide it, but there's a thrust from Oak, no kill. And now it's BK who's tired, Oak is tired. Both fighters are tired. BK not able to connect with that first swing, a little out of measure. The distance management a little bit off there, but Oak did a great job as well, it has to be said, of moving back. And there's an X cut into a back Y as Oak tries to feint. He is called out with that retreat attack. And BK is looking to take Oak out of the tournament. He needs one more flag. Oak going low. A cut by Oak. Perfect single tempo, capturing that attack and instantly striking. And here's the thing, you put Oak in a situation like this, and it's quite likely he'll make a comeback, so you have to finish it ASAP. But BK doesn't want to expose himself. If he starts making mistakes, then Oak will capitalize on them, so it is by no means over. X-cut there, no kill, but nicely done by BK. Chipping away at Oak's HP, sometimes that's what you gotta do in this matchup. You can't go straight for the kill. BK's gotta watch his stamina. There's a thrust to the body. No follow-up as Oak dashes out of there just in time. Good retreat attack by Oak. BK staying patient. Pressure's on for both of them. Low stab, good retreat. Why there? Corkscrew is deflected. And a bit of a dash, but he manages to parry Oak's attack. Goes low, and it's a double. Unfortunately, it's a double for BK. Which makes sense given what happened, but he's obviously looking for a win, not a double. It's very, very bad for him. It's bad for both of them, to be honest, but I think especially for BK because he really wants to just finish it. He does not want this to go to the 3rd round. Thrust there. He has landed a hit. X. Oh my goodness. Good exchange. BK now stuck in the corner again, but he fights like a caged animal. We've seen this before. Oak still just walks all over him. Nicely done. And we're down to the last flag this round. Will Oak be able to secure a win here and make it 1-1? There's a thrust to the gut and a cut. Excellent move choice there by BK. BK instantly going to the sidestep cut to get more reach, and he does hit the arm. So beautiful follow-up. Even though Oak tried to dash out of there, it just wasn't enough. He got run through and then got his arm cut. So BK takes it 2-0, but those were 2 very close rounds. So definitely a disputed fight. BK showing us what he's made of there. And now we've got Pico against Captain Adler. And then after that, it'll be me against... actually, no, it'll be Arsenal against Synth after that. That's the 9th fight, so... Yeah, that was possibly Hall of Fame material. That was fantastic by both. We're not ignoring matches, we're going in order. If you look at the number next to the bracket, you'll see what the order is. Okay, so Pico on the left, Captain Adler on the right. I know Pico needs keyboard. Captain Adler, just let me know if you do. Okay, Pico's going with Gideon. Captain Adler going with his classic Tarnowski, a very good Tarnowski. Again, a newer addition to the community, Captain Adler, but he is quite a prodigy himself. So Pico has a tough fight ahead, but I appreciate that he's gone with Gideon. We're seeing more Gideon lately. After a little bit of a hiatus with that character, a lot of people just haven't been using him lately. Good thrust there. Attempt. Pico a little bit ahead now. Pekla, of course, is a veteran himself and well known for tricky gameplay, throwing a lot of cancels and all sorts of stuff. So a very tricky opponent here for Captain Adler, but I'd say anybody can win here. Pico also known for his versatility. He can switch to just about any character and have success with them, so. Good exchange here, but Captain Adler with a decisive hit. Nice trade there. Pico got the worst end of it. Both of these characters have slightly exposed guards at times, but they both hit very hard, so. It's definitely a fight where you can expect both of them to just carve each other up. Nice hit. Captain Adler's starting to get a decisive advantage here if Pico's not careful, but Pico gets your flag right back. Yeah, I love seeing these two characters fight. A-cut, nice switch up by Pico, and he keeps going with the cross-cutting. Very nicely done. He switched the tempo and went faster, which was a really nice example of a tempo switch as he has initiative, so he was able to secure that flag by also picking an angle where Tarnowski would struggle to block. So very nice creativity despite the on paper simplistic approach of just throwing a lot of cuts. He's doing them at just the right time and getting initiative, so. Ooh, and that was a big slash by Captain Adler, but he was not quite able to secure the double. Pico barely getting that flag. Very close fight. Very high quality fights this tournament so far, overall. And there's another. Pico needs one more. Nice. A to B combination by Pico. Able to hang on to his lead there. And take the first round. We'll see if Captain Adler switches. He can also use Isabella and Marie. But we'll see. Pico's probably going to switch regardless of how that went because that's how Pico rolls, but we'll see. Might stick with Gideon, actually. Interesting. So he's not switching characters, he's actually sticking with Gideon. Okay, I'll be right back. You guys can, of course, carry on fighting. Captain Adler switching to Isabella, it looks like. Alright, I'm back, and it looks like Captain Adler was able to score a win here after that character switch. I'm just switching the names, guys. So this round will decide it. Alright, go ahead and make your picks. I assume Captain Adler will stick with Isabella, but Pico... Yeah, welcome, Eve. Yeah, Oakward's doing well with Gideon as well. But Jan was able to win out. Pico did great with Gideon as well against Tarnovsky, but Isabella proving to be a little bit too tough, so Pico is switching to Zera, actually. Ooh, double. Captain Adler with an early lead. And a thrust to the hand there. That's the danger that Zera can run into in this matchup. Isabella, of all characters, she's one of the top characters as well, and what she does best is she fights for the center with a lot of her attacks. So she has these really tight attacks that you can throw a bunch of times and just dominate the center with. And Zera, on the other hand, has a lot of wide cuts, so Isabella can often just tag his hand in this matchup. Zera does have some wild moves that can make stuff happen against Isabella. It's definitely not completely hopeless, but I would say lately Zera tends to be outclassed. But with some very creative play on Pico's part, it's certainly not impossible to make a comeback. And he's trying to do it here with Holy Stance, but he got outspaced. Captain Adler with a good fundamental Isabella. There's a hit to the hand though. Pico definitely not giving up, and I like to see that. Good blade beat. Thrust attempt, out of measure there, unfortunately. If he was closer, that might have landed. But Captain Adler needs one more. Good spacing on his part. High guard cut. And a trade there favors Zera. So Pico does score that flag. Definitely a more decisive hit that time. Yeah, Captain Adler just keeping it simple, as he probably should against Zera. Holy Stance there, overcommitted there. And Captain Adler takes it, but still very well fought, Pico. Captain Adler slays another veteran. And now we've got Arsenal against Synth. Arsenal comes from the Death Duel VR Discord server, by the way, but he's recently joined us after I gifted him Hellish Quart. He expressed a lot of interest in getting involved with tournaments and stuff, so... And he didn't win the Death Duel VR tournament, but Synth did, which was kind of funny. So Synth got a chance to pick who would get the reward, and so Arsenal got it in the end because he was expressing the most interest in getting Hellish Court and playing some tournaments. So okay, Synth is here. Just waiting for Arsenal. And if Arsenal doesn't show up right away, we can still skip the fight. It's not a big deal. We'll just come back to that fight as needed. Synth also plays a lot of Death Duel VR, so this is a bit of a Death Duel VR duel, if you will. Death Duel VR, for those who are not aware, is it's a quite realistic, essentially, VR multiplayer fencing game. And it's quite a bit of fun to play. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a multiplayer sword fighting experience in VR. There really is no better option. The game is still in development, much like Hellish Court, but the developers are actually actively listening to feedback, despite being a small team, and they're working crazy fast on that game. So kudos to them for building something so impressive. And they actually have their own Discord server, so that's very helpful as well. Okay, I don't see Arsenal, unfortunately. So I think we'll just skip the fight for now. And we'll come back to it later. Unfortunately, with single elimination, this is another potential disadvantage, is that although if it's big, we can skip a lot of fights, there will come a point before you know it where we have to just start disqualifying people. So hopefully we don't get to that point, but at least in the next round, we will have some fights we can do as well. So, like, there's some wiggle room, but there isn't quite as much. Okay, Cheeses is here. Cheeses, you're getting the left side. I'm getting the right side. Cheeses, again, one of these rising star players. We have a lot of them. You'll notice that's a common theme. These guys are getting very good at the game. And, Jesus, I can't even spell my own name. Might have had one too many at the pub or something yesterday. Anyway. Going with Couchstein. He's been experimenting with him lately. Good luck. Alright, good game, Cheeses. Your calc was way more threatening than your Sam, which was interesting. You've definitely put a lot of work into that. And the reason I'm kind of surprised by that is because calc is usually considered much weaker, but you're definitely cooking some stuff with him, so good game. Maybe he's stronger than people give him credit for. I've been considering that because his cuts definitely land pretty cleanly when they do land. A beer against Magic Mix now. Because I don't see Arsenal, so we're just gonna move on for now. I'll give Arsenal another ping maybe after this fight, see if he's around. I think one thing I found tricky as well was that Calc is able to mix it up more. Samuel does have a pretty good stab, but I feel like it's quite telegraphed. And whereas Cal can kind of mix them in when he wants, and he has more options to stab with. They might not always hit super hard, but they can really throw you off. Like out of nowhere, you can get back X'd, and then a stab is hitting your face, you know, stuff like that. And he's got those good long range cuts to single tempo with and stuff like that. Okay, a beer on the left, Magic Mix on the right. Magic Mix has been doing great so far this tournament. We'll see if he's able to continue his streak. Just 1 second. My mouse is currently dying, so let me just make sure it's charging, and then we'll continue. Looks like it is. Brilliant. Yeah, we can continue. Marina there for Magic Mix. I don't know what's up with a beer. Okay, a beer can't take control. Let's just back out. Sometimes that's all you need to do. But Daisy, can you cut your friend's arm off in real life and have it grow back after they respawn? You can't quite do that, can you? In Death Duel VR, you can lob your friend's arms off all day long and have a grand old time doing it. And it's a pretty surreal experience in VR to lose your arm. Obviously, it doesn't hurt or anything, but... Yes, we're not sponsored. Yeah. I do get what Daisy's saying, though. Obviously, the real thing, like doing HEMA and stuff like that, has its own charm. But for those who can't do it for whatever reason, Death Duel VR is an option that exists. Never gonna be perfect, but... They do a pretty damn good job. Yeah, exactly. And it's made by a dev that does HEMA too, so that helps. Or actually, he's a... Well, I think they both do HEMA. I think Dog also does HEMA, but I know the community manager does, for sure. Tyrus. It is taking some time, but I will say they're making tangible progress. So unlike Hellish Quart, you actually, I feel like the light at the end of the tunnel is visible with that game, if you will. A beer, by the way, this can be a tough matchup again if you don't know how to handle it. But a beer has been practicing these side steps well with Barabash and the low cuts. So by managing his distance well, he is managing to score a surprisingly large amount of flags. And if he's able to make it messy, quite often Barabash will have the advantage because Marina doesn't dish out as much damage or have as much HP, and that's to help balance out the shield. Most shield characters are like that because the shield can be quite an advantage otherwise. Marina still has tools to beat Barabash with if she knows how to use them, but that's a big if. Okay, that was nice from Abir. Pretty decisive win. Experience, I think, really helping him out there, but Magic Mix still did a good job. We will see if he is able to adapt to Abir's style. Marta, okay. Okay, so Abir still going ham with Barabash. Magic Mix trying to make something work. Marta, that cut out of measure was a little bit of a mistake. That is something you want to avoid with rapiers, not only because they're not the best cutting weapons, but because you're basically giving up your reach advantage and allowing the opponent to close in. So you gotta time them very well if you're gonna use a cut, so a blade beat or something. It's really usually better to stab. And that comes with experience. It's very easy to accidentally cut with Marta when you're trying to stab. You gotta learn the moves and the inputs. That's a good stab, though, by Magic Mix. Back Y. Yeah, that's a good move for Marta. But so far, Abir. Yeah. That was a pretty nice combo by Magic. The Thunder Punch hitting the bowl of the Rapier. Abir trying to make something happen, but wow. Magic Mix going ham. And a nice sidestep. Oh, and Abir takes it. Yeah, very decisive win there. Getting close. And Magic Mix, I think, picked a few wrong moves there. Didn't keep distance enough, so it got messy, and Abir managed to win. But still a good try. GG to both players. Marta can win that matchup decisively, but you absolutely have to keep the distance. You can't allow Barabash to get close. Okay, I'll give Arsenal a ping, and I think we'll just continue with the next fight regardless, just for the sake of efficiency. Yeah, Ezekiel's Marta is a menace. If you learn how to play Marta like that, Barabash will get destroyed. if he doesn't adapt. Marta is. I know people say Jan's the best rapier jokingly, and there is truth to that, but Marta is, in the right hands, very, very tough to beat. So. It's just a matter of picking the correct moves, being at the correct distance, and Marta can be made to work very, very well. She is a very competitively viable character. Okay, Glorious Purpose is here. Luck is here. Brilliant. All right, Glorious on the left, Luck on the right. Okay, Glorious, I'll just give you a keyboard. Eve listing some Pokemon in the Discord chat there. Machamp is actually a pretty cool Pokemon. I'm quite a fan of him. He's not my favorite fighting type by any means. There's many fighting types I prefer, but definitely a solid choice. Nothing wrong with it. Infernape's probably one of my favorites. Lucario as well. I like Pokemon like that. Even Gallade's pretty cool. You might notice a lot of the Pokemon I like are from Gen 4. That's by far my favorite generation. This is a tough matchup for Isabella. I know I was saying, like, Marina is B tier, maybe low A tier. Isabella definitely very high tier by comparison, but Isabella doesn't have a lot of moves that are geared for fighting shield characters, so you have to be very creative with her to get good results. And Luck is certainly capable of that, but Glorious has played a lot of Marina, so it might not be so simple. Nice hit there. And a double. Glorious managing to get a lead. Snap cut by Luck, not able to get the kill right away, and it's a double. I hope Arsenal is able to show up. I haven't heard from them yet. Luck of a hit to the head there, making it 3-3. Alright, and Luck manages to take it. Sorry, I was just texting somebody real quick. And switch sides now. Yeah, so some creativity on Luck's part. He likes pushing as well, so that helps him. And he was able to make it happen. Nice sidestep there by Glorious. But Luck again with an early lead. Nice. There's a kick there. Hit to hit head there by Luck. Luck is just managing to chip away at Glorious here. And Glorious doesn't seem to have an answer. He is scoring some flags back, but just can't take control. Ooh, nice. Down to the wire here, 5-5. Glorious managing to make a bit of a comeback, but still going to be a tough fight. And Luck seems to have a solid game plan here, trying to stab over the shield, which actually sometimes works. We've seen it land for Isabella. The Luck has taken a hit now. And a nice hit. Pushed there by Luck, not quite able to finish it, but nice try. Glorious was able to react in time to the push. But the back wide to the hand, and Luck takes it. After a tough second round, Glorious is eliminated. Very well fought by both of you. But Luck is just on fire today with Isabella as usual on my host. And here's how we'll do it, I think, because I don't want to wait forever for Arsenal. We will continue with round 3, and if Arsenal is not here by the end of round 3, because I don't want Venator to wait too long, we will have to disqualify Arsenal and Synth will fight Venator. Because he's had plenty of time to show up, so I think it's pretty fair to cut it off there. Because otherwise Venator could be waiting for quite a while to get a fight, as could Synth, so. And, you know, Synth is from Southeast Asia, and Venator's from Romania, so pretty brutal waiting that long for a fight, so. That's not the only reason, mind you, it's also that, you know, it's been 2 hours by now, and he hasn't shown up, so. I'm getting the left side. BK will get the right for our fight. And I've seen BK fight before. I know what he's capable of, so definitely not going to underestimate him. It is quite possible he will eliminate me if I'm not careful. And I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here, actually, and go with Jan as well to match his reach. 1 second, I'll select it. Alright, good luck. Jan's long guard looking a little weird there, but it's fine. It's both of us, so... Alright, good fight, BK. Very good effort. I'm glad that matching your reach was effective there. I can win that matchup with Barabash as well. It's certainly a fair fight, but the advantage that Jan has in reach can be quite substantial. So I wanted to equalize the matchup there and do the mirror instead. Okay, a beer against Captain Adler now. That's going to be an exciting fight. And then after that, if Arsenal is not here, unfortunately, we're going to have to disqualify him, and Synth will fight Venator. Sorry to keep you guys waiting that long, but it is what it is. Okay. Okay, so a lot of balanced discussion about Marina. I would agree with the fact that she doesn't need to fumble for you to beat her. You can pressure her from range, you can strike her sword hand, you can win in the brawl. It's not about making her fumble. You can easily get initiative against her, I would say. Objectively speaking, she's like B tier, maybe low A tier. Not the weakest character by any means, but definitely not one of the stronger characters. But if you don't pass the knowledge check with that shield, or the Marina player is very good, it is still obviously possible for her to beat anybody. Definitely much more threatening than, say, Marie. Ooh, YY into upcut. Nice pressure by a beer. And the Thunder Punch is deflected. Very risky move. You've got to time it right. Against somebody like Luck, that's very, very difficult because he's very fast with his reads and his reaction time. Wow, perfect parry and then a strike to the head. And a sidestep by a beer. Very close fight between these two. Impressive speed by a beer to keep up with somebody like Luck. Or sorry, this is Captain Adler. Why am I calling him Luck? Probably because of the skin. That's my bad. But Captain Adler playing an excellent Isabella. The fact that I initially just looked at the skin was like, oh, this is Luck playing. I mean, that's pretty high praise, isn't it? Great job with Captain Adler. Yeah, no, Luck's probably gonna fight, I think, Synth or Venator down the road, which will be exciting. Yeah, that not many people use that goat skin, the goat hat Isabella. That's why I was thinking that was Luck. Plus the really good Isabella play. Upcut there by Captain Adler. Good single tempo, and Captain Adler needs one more. Dashing in there, parried. Nicely done. Very risky move, that dash in. Very telegraphed, easy to block naturally. And nice hit by a beer, making it 6-6. Very close this round. Anybody's game. Why, and then upcut. Beautiful. As Captain Adler was caught defending the cuts up high, he switches it up and goes low, overwhelming the auto guard. That was very nicely done. And that's how you get initiative when somebody's, for whatever reason, they're just on the defensive, and initiative is on your side. You can just sometimes throw a bunch of cuts and intelligently aim them, and then your opponent will not be able to defend if they do not present a threat in time. Yeah, I think he probably wanted Tarnowski there. He doesn't really play Yazek, so that's all good. It's very easy to accidentally pick a character that way. So, let's see what a beer can do against Tarna. Ooh, sidestep attempted there by a beer, but he pays for it. It's probably his favorite sidestep. He loves targeting the hand with that one. Punch there. A beer being a little overly aggressive. The YY, the first YY missing for some reason in that combo. Unfortunately, that combo is sometimes still bugged, so you get weird stuff like that happening. But a beer, by being very persistent, is still able to get the kill. Oh yes, very fast cuts by a beer. This is another close run fight, it looks like. The switch to Tarnowski is interesting. I won't say it's wrong. He definitely has some advantages over Barabash. More staying power, more powerful slashes. So he really forces Barabash to move. It's like a rogue fighting a warrior is how I put it. It really is on the Barabash player to make the best use of his speed to overcome Tarnowski. Otherwise, he will lose oftentimes in the brawl. But it certainly is a doable matchup for both. Nice. Stab down low, but a cut to the head. Classic double. Probably the way doubles most often were happening historically, if you ask me. Not intentional, but you take a stab and it's like the head's open, so you throw a cut at the head and both fighters die together. There's other ways doubles can happen, of course, unintentionally, but that's probably one of the more common ones. Sometimes intentionally, too, believe it or not. If you were desperate, some people took stabs like that and then just kept fighting through them. It's amazing what the human body sometimes can do, but that might be at the cost of infection and death later. Yeah, very good Tarna on Captain Adler's part. He's managing to secure an advantage, and I think it was a good pick. Abir is not able to adjust in time, it looks like, at least this round, so it is 1-1. Again, very winnable match for both fighters, I would say. It's just they both have overwhelming advantages against each other, if that makes sense. So if either fighter can play to the advantages they have and the other fighter is not adapting in time, you can get situations like that. So Adler doing great with Tarna. And Abir, he has played Yan a lot, so it actually makes sense that he made the switch. He is switching to Yan for the extra reach, I assume. Which can be quite a decisive advantage against Tarna. And he has a bit more staying power, too. And yeah, the thing about Tarnovsky as well is, although he does have a lot of power, people are mentioning how impressive it is that he achieved that much with Tarn, and it really is. His tempo is tricky to fight against, but it's also tricky to make use of, because the timing of your defenses and your attacks is different from the other sabers. You almost have to completely relearn the game when you play Tarnovsky. So it's tough in a way for both combatants, because the tempo switches can be nasty, but said tempo switches can also put you in danger. Oh, yeah. Takes a hit to the head. And a double. Yeah. This really is, and I've seen it before, Captain Adler's Tarna is one of the best on the servers right now. On the server right now. He's definitely been learning some stuff, I think, from Landsknecht, who used to be the best, might still be the best, but he's recently switched to Saba. So, Captain Adler definitely inheriting that pretty well, and also adding his own style to the mix. You can definitely tell his take is a little bit unique, despite having learned some stuff, I assume, from Landsknecht. And now he needs one more to secure the win. The beer just falling into a lot of traps, and it's not easy to fight a Tarnovsky that is this good. You'd think his reach advantage would be decisive, and often it actually is with Jan, to be fair. That's why he probably made the switch, but when you're this good at manipulating the flow of the fight with Tarna, that advantage can disappear for Jan. So a beard gets a flag back, though. It's by no means over. But it's going to be tough. And some of the beer's longer range moves, the problem he runs into with them is that naturally by throwing them, you're putting your hand in harm's way. So it's good that he's using the reach. He should use the reach. But if he gets the tempo wrong, he can still find himself hit. And good long guarding the corkscrew there by Captain Adler, but it's still a double. Ooh, and there's one for a beer. Like I said, not over just yet. A beer only needs two more. I cursed him, damn it. I cursed him big time as Captain Adler takes it immediately as I say that. But great fight from both of them. Captain Adler was just on fire with the Tarnovsky. Yeah, that was 100% commentator's curse. I apologize for that, Amir. And Captain Adler will get to fight me in a little bit, but first we will see if Arsenal has showed up. I don't see him. So Synth will get to move on and fight Venator. And the winner of this fight will fight against Luck. So we're nearing the end of the tournament. Just to show people quickly how the bracket looks right now. I'll turn the game capture off just so you can see. So this is how it looks like now. Synth will be fighting Venator. Winner fights Luck. I'll be fighting Captain Adler. There'll be a third place match for those who lose in the semifinals, and then there'll be the finals. Okay, pretty straightforward. And we're doing great for time, so that's good. Okay, did I ping you guys yet? I don't think so. Yeah, that's the thing with stabs, is they don't have stopping power, if that makes sense. So they can kill in one go, but they don't disable the combatant the way that a cut does. And it's the same problem that you get with guns or other weapons. Sometimes you get a lethal hit, but it isn't actually stunning the opponent the way a cut just sort of carves through tendons and just causes nasty damage. But that's not to say a stab can't stop a combatant right away. It absolutely can if you hit the right spots. But the thing is, you're sort of putting your eggs in one basket when you go for a stab. So you have to be sure it's going to be the perfect hit and that you're safe from an afterblow if you're going to be throwing them. Something I wish this game did simulate better is that is why when you throw a thrust in real life, you are always trying to throw them well covered if you can. So you get blade contact, you cover yourself, and you land said lethal thrust so that the threat of the afterblow isn't so prevalent. So even if you didn't disable your opponent right then and there, your lethal hit plays a role in how the fight progresses, and then you either kill them right then and there and don't take a hit yourself, or the fight continues on and the damage that the opponent's accumulated over time proves to be devastating. Yeah, that's the thing of cuts. Like, you don't actually have to kill somebody with them oftentimes to actually end the fight. That's one of the differences. So, in some ways, cuts are less dangerous because a surgeon can repair them if they're not taking hands off or cutting through skulls or stuff like that. So they're kind of easier to stitch back together. A thrust is more likely to cause a deep infection, though, so that is the danger with a puncture wound compared to a cut. But it always, as always, it depends. There are cuts that are absolutely devastating and will just end the fight and your life just as well as a thrust will. So it really depends on the quality of the hit. But the TLDR of that is rapiers need to be buffed. There is no question about that. Okay? Regardless of the issues that stabs can run into, it is still a fact, if you ask me. I don't think it's super controversial that rapiers do need to, especially Marie. Marie needs to be buffed. Because stabs are still very, very dangerous, and that should be simulated. If you are run through the chest, even if you somehow power through it for a couple seconds or whatever it happens to be, you're still in trouble if you've been run through by a rapier. Still a pretty bad time. There are cases where people survive that, but very, very often you won't long term, especially, and so they really should be more threatening than they are, because they can still drop people too. That's the other thing that should be remembered. Rapiers were used by commoners in some cases. Depends on the commoner we're talking about. Are we talking about serfs? Are we talking about townspeople? Common soldiers? Rapiers were actually surprisingly common on the street, and there are cases where they were used to murder people as well. We have accounts of that from England. Some lag? Yeah, no worries. Just take your time, Venator. But many rapiers were expensive. You're not like completely wrong about that. But in general, I would say swords were more common in society than people give it credit for. They varied a lot in quality. Obviously, the most expensive swords, the best quality, like they weren't available to commoners. But yeah, you wouldn't take a sword against a knight, especially unarmored. That would be crazy. As as Daisy is saying. pole arms were common on the battlefield. They were, yeah. And most swords suck against armor too, that's not... Honestly, the best sword to fight against armor is a great sword. You need something that hits with more punch and can stab at the gaps. But in general, you want a pole axe or something like that if you want to fight against someone in plate. S-stocks and longswords are often sometimes your best bet as well, but that's if you've either agreed upon dueling with swords in the first place, which did happen, or if you have to fall back on your secondary weapon, so. But honestly, most secondary weapons aren't great against armor, so it's not. It's not really unique to rapiers, I guess, is the point, and that's what Daisy's trying to say as well. It's sabers are typically not the most optimized for heavily armored opponents either. As I say this, Synth with a dominant performance against Venator. Really sorry I wasn't focusing on that fight. Got wrapped up in some historical discussions, as often happens. It's a meme that Venator and I have. We often get wrapped up in topics like this. Me most of all, though, because I'm a big history nerd. Why can't I spell Usami? That's, like, not that difficult to spell. Anyway. Maces and hammers are also, honestly, not the best against armor, because you can't generate as much force as you can with a two-handed weapon. If you're from horseback, they do better. But I'd say on foot, I would actually prefer a longsword just because I can use it as a grapple assist. But then I would switch to my dagger once my opponent gets to the ground, open the visor up, and just start stabbing the face or any other gaps like that. The sword itself probably wouldn't finish the fight, but it might lead to a fight finisher down the road. But it's not a great weapon either against armor. You'd definitely prefer a pole axe first. Rapiers never took off among common soldiers for that reason. Honestly, they did in some parts of the world. There were a lot of musketeers who used rapiers. It depends on where you are in Europe. In some places they didn't take off as much, and in others they did. Typically in military context, though, they would use something called the bilbow, or what people call military rapiers, side swords, stuff like this. Stuff that can... a rapier that can cut and thrust. That was typically more common in a military context, but rapiers absolutely were used by soldiers. I believe Swedish cavalrymen used their own type of a rapier as well, if I recall. It's not the typical rapier people think of, but it was a rapier nonetheless. Maces were used by all sorts of heavy cavalrymen. But anyway, we're gonna focus on the fight now before I get wrapped up too much. Synth is actually a little bit behind now. This has been a struggle between the two Yan players. Yeah. Yeah, maces are pretty fatal, if you've seen what they do to skulls. Ooh, a trade there. I mean, against armored opponents, if you're in, like, plate armor, maybe there's an argument they can be used to capture somebody by knocking them out or giving them a concussion. There's been some crazy tests done that show that helmets can be effective if they're high quality against maces, but you still get rocked, you still get... it hurts like hell. And if you're wearing a lesser quality helmet, it gets worse for your noggin. But I'll tell you what, a mace to the skull, you're with no helmet, you're just dead. And crush injuries to the limbs are pretty brutal to treat. Honestly, if you want to give somebody a light beating, a truncheon is better for that. And that is something some guards would have carried. Mace, not so much. It's a symbol of authority, but you really wouldn't use it as a non-lethal weapon. It's a pretty lethal weapon in reality. It's a symbol of authority, but it doesn't mean it was used in a non-lethal manner. Maces are pretty... Like, make no mistake, against the best armor they might struggle, but they're still bloody dangerous weapons. It depends. Sometimes they killed criminals outright. Look up what the term outlaw actually means. It means you're outside of the law. And so, in some cases, they were just allowed to kill you. They might try to bring you to justice so they can make a show of it and execute you, depending on what you've done, but the simple reality is, there wasn't really policing the way we understand it today. It's not that they wouldn't try to capture you at times, but if the crime you did was serious enough, they might just execute you outright. So again, it depends though. Like there's different jurisdictions, different laws. Like we're speaking so generally. You got to be so careful doing that in history. Anyway, final fight between these two. They've both proven to be evenly matched in this Yon Mirror. What's going on? Don't know what's going on. Let's see what's happening. A negotiation, okay. Yeah, they're going with the Yon Mirror. It looks like in the end, although they were considering Barbash Mir potentially, Venator considering Alex as well, but it looks like we might be... Yeah. I think we're doing the Yon Mirror. Somebody's locked in with Yon, that being Synth, so... Alright, Yon Mirror again, keeping it fair as far as the matchup. No, unfortunately, Luck, they're doing the Yon Mirror, but I appreciate the suggestion. They could do an Isabella Mirror. They're both actually very good with Isabella, but unfortunately it is not to be. Venator has decided not to use his main and decided to use Yon, so... We'll see what happens with that. There's a cut to the leg there. Nice by Synth. It missed the arm, but went straight to the leg. Perfect angle. Why? Chops there. And there's the stab by Venator. I think there was some discussion about the Yawn meta not being the most fun to play, and I do agree. The Bar Bash. With Bar Bash, it feels like you can use more of his moves effectively. Whereas Yawn, he's just as strong, but his moveset is... There's a lot of moves he can use, don't get me wrong. But there's like a set of really strong moves that he relies on. Especially the low thrust. And I think that's, for me, the most boring part is that if you want to play him in the most sort of bare bones safe way, you throw a lot of stabs. Hence the rapier meme, where Yawn is called the best rapier. Part of that is my bias because I prefer cutting and slashing. I don't hate stabbing, but per se, but if I were to select my personal preference, it would be cutting. I'm happy to stab if the situation calls for it, but usually cutting is more fun. Okay, nicely done. Yeah, Luck is a good chivalry player, by the way. He's very good actually with the maul. Last I checked, he might have switched to some other weapons, but the maul, Luck was just amazing with that weapon. Don't use it much anymore. Interesting, okay. Nice chop. Alright, let's not fight in the chat, please. Motion. It's getting a little bit silly. Yeah, you can talk about Shiv though, I don't mind that. Back to the fight, it is 3-3. Oh, great. I thought I muted the hunt chat, and I'm getting the call now. I can't exactly turn it down unless I go to my phone, I think. I thought I muted it. There you go. Alright, sorry about that. Poleaxe, yeah, that's a good weapon. Okay, Synth with another flag. And Synth will need 2 more to secure the win against Venator. A very prestigious win, if she's able to achieve that. Nice low thrust. Maybe Venator should have used Isabella, but we'll see if he's able to pull out the win anyway. Or Alex. Alex is also good, but I understand trying to do the Yawn Mirror, especially in favor of using Alex, because Alex can get eaten alive a little bit by those stabs. So that much is understandable. Synth is able to take it. But it was a great fight between these two. And it was 2-1, I believe. Yeah. So Venator is actually knocked out of the tournament. A very prestigious win early. A win too. Venator doesn't get a chance to get to the bronze match. Synth will fight Luck in a little bit, but first I will fight Captain Adler. Okay. I will be on the left, Captain Adler on the right. Captain Adler is a very tough opponent. So, as usual, won't underestimate him. One second. Yep. Go ahead. Alright, good fight, Captain Adler. Don't go away though, you are still in the third place match, so you still have a chance to fight for third place. Now we've got Luck against Synth Usami. Alright, come on, Synth. Whoever loses, don't leave, please. We'll do the third place match right after. Beautiful Synth is here. Synth will be on the left. And Luck on the right. Doing great for time. About a 3-hour, 3.5-hour event, which I'll tell you what, for a tourney with 19 players is pretty damn good because 3 hours is like what we consider average for time. So that goes to show how much that's cut down the time we've had to spend. Sim should have keyboard now. Yeah. Like 3.5 hours for an event like this is pretty damn impressive. Of course, counting from the start time, it's a little bit. The stream will make it look like it's a little bit longer because we did the whole intro music stuff, but basically what we are probably going to be looking at by the end of the event. I suspect. Something like that. So that goes to show how much time you can shave off. Like, we'd probably have an extra 2 hours if, at the minimum, if we did the double elimination, so. But if you guys prefer this, or you prefer double elimination, let me know. I am open to either one, but especially if you consider that I'm gonna get more busy down the road, I think single elimination might increasingly look more attractive if we get lots of players. But there's also other possible formats. Venator does his own special formats that work really well, so. And sometimes a marathon event is good too, but as mentioned, like when we get lots of players, and I might tweak the number from 13 to 15 for the drop-off point, but certainly once we're at like 19, I think you almost have to, or you like do a single elimination. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there, Daisy. But double elimination is better, definitely, for the... If the numbers are sort of mid-level, I think. Yeah, so Venator has his own format that also works pretty well. It can last a bit long, but you gotta keep in mind, he likes to do after parties as well sometimes. So when he does a longer event, it's sort of like he's doing an after party anyway. It sort of takes the place, so. If you're willing to spend that time, it is definitely a fun time, but just worth weighing the pros and cons. But Venator does a good job, I think, at managing the time, so. Always a pleasure to commentate those events and show up for them. I don't know if I'll do that because some of the guys, Racer, Eve, and Tao want to do Hunt, so I don't think I'll do an after party. But we'll see. Okay, so Luck won the first one, I believe. Luck's always a contender in my events to just win the whole thing. Lately, so it's really good to see. But if you want to host a random tournament, I won't tell you not to. How about that? Good exchange. Ooh. But Luck wins the first flag. Another exchange, very flashy between these two. Thrust attempt by Luck, thrust attempt by Synth. But Luck a little bit faster there, hits the head. Double. Ooh, nice by Synth. Ooh, an upcut there, nice single tempo. Double. Ooh, hit to the head by Synth. Synth going forward with the Y cuts, trying to break down Luck's defense there, break down the stamina, but not quite able to do it. Ooh, cancels the upcut. Another exchange. Synth actually doing very well in the Isabella mirror and looking to get a win, potentially, against Luck, which is a pretty prestigious win, I think, because Luck's Isabella is a monster. I'd love to see either of these two fighters make it to the finals. So I'm not really rooting for anyone in particular, but Synth is probably the underdog, mostly in the sense that she's in Southeast Asia, and Luck is in North America, so there is a bit of a ping advantage for Luck. But even regardless of ping, Luck is an incredibly fast player, so for Synth to do this well is impressive. Upcut attempt, blocked. Yeah, that 8-cut's one of my favorites, but I've been struggling to make that work in the Isabella mirror lately. Nice hit there. Synth needs one more, but it's by no means over. Luck still looking to close this fight, I think. Does not want this to go into another round. There's a hit by Synth, though, could prove decisive. Testing the guard a bit, trying to get the stamina down. There's a pommel strike, and it's a double, actually, as Synth barely recovers in time. B-cut. Nice exchange again. Snap cut by Luck. Luck needs 2 more now. It is anybody's fight. Hopefully I did not just curse him. There's a bit of an exchange, but Synth breaks up the tempo there of the retreat B. It's a classic Warden trick right there. Alright. Switch side. Yep. We're going back to Isabella. Nice. Nice. Luck scoring the first flag with some aggression. But there's a flag right back for Synth. Nice retreat. Cut there. One with high guard, then switching to neutral again. Luck just goes forward with the Y cut. There's another one for Luck. And this advantage could be important, especially after that hit there. Luck looking to score yet another flag. Nice sidestep by Synth, but not having the range, unfortunately, the single tempo. Still a good active parry, I would say. And Luck actually getting a little bit low in stamina. Not too bad right now, but could accumulate. Synth actually feeling the pressure as well with the stamina, especially now. Because the damage combined with the pressure on the guard. Synth getting tired because of the barrage of attacks incoming by Luck. That was very smart right there. Just getting initiative, and there was no reason really to stop attacking there, so. There's a hit by Luck. Luck is looking to pounce here and get another flag. Thrust attempt is parried, but Synth very much on the back foot, I would say, after that hit. Luck just a little bit more precise, a little bit faster with some of these flags. Yeah, some great exchanges too. Luck actually needing to watch his stamina now as well, throwing a lot of attacks, but he's doing great at managing that and recognizing when his stamina is getting low and not overcommitting. It's easier to do that when you're not injured too. If you're injured, then it's very hard to manage stamina. And that's one of the issues that Synth is running into. Just that one hit affects the future of the round. Big slash by Luck. Synth is not quite able to punish it, but nice try. Looking for a decisive win here, Luck. But Synth is definitely putting up a fight. It's not for lack of trying on her part. It's just Luck's Isabella is very strong. There's a hit though for Synth. Very much needed, I would say. Ooh, a trade. Exchange now. And yeah, sidestepping a little bit too much and leaving the hand exposed. That's something that Isabella is quite vulnerable to, I've noticed lately. I've said before the sides of the face are a target, but I've noticed lately the hand is a target as well. If you aim for the sides or you aim from below, the hand can be a very, very vulnerable target. Which is kind of realistic, actually, to how longsword works. From certain angles, the hand is just there to be hit. And it happens a lot in real longsword fights, too. The crossguard does offer some hand protection, but it has to be oriented just right to actually protect the hand. Nice sidestep by Synth, getting another flag, but we'll see if she can make the comeback or not. Oh, the sidestep attempt, but Luck was much faster at that snap cut and hitting the arm as a result. That would have been a beautiful single tempo, but that is the risk of doing a single tempo, is if you mistime it or you use the wrong move, you might end up taking a hit, and it's a double. Still determined to put up a fight here. Nice exchange again. Yeah, trying to break it up a little bit. Some A cuts in there. Y cuts by both, trying to punish each other. B cut. Cutting the thrust. That's usually a nice forcing move, but Synth was able to bat it aside. They're both getting tired. High guard by Luck, trying to catch Synth on the whiff there. They're both dealing with stamina issues at this point. Luck going for snap cut into a follow-up. That was nice. But not able to get the flag. This is dangerous for both of them, as stamina is getting low. If Synth runs out of stamina, that will be it. And Luck knows it. That's why he's throwing a lot of Y cuts, and it's a double. Ooh. Dangerous. High guard by Luck. Push attempt, and Synth with the retreat cut. Nicely done. And there's another one from Synth. Nice. And now it's looking very possible. Ooh, snap cut by Luck. Dangerous game there. If Synth fell for it, it would have been over. Ooh. And Luck doesn't go through with the high guard cut. Might have been the correct call. It's actually tough to say there. I don't blame him for not trying it. This time he does. As Synth sidesteps, that could have been it. Exchanges again. And Luck getting tired, actually. Ooh, and a push attempt, but the B cut by Synth. Synth is doing a great job of reading these pushes, even on high ping, and countering them. And now it's down to the last flag. Luck nearly scoring just then. And Synth nearly scored just then. Very intense match. Synth sidesteps there. Sidestep again, risked by Synth, but it might have been worth trying just to see what would happen. Oh my gosh, that Luck nearly winning 2 times there. Synth has to be a little careful. Oof. Oh, I thought Synth landed it, but not quite. Exchange between these two. And they're trying to switch it up. It's quite a grind this mirror, it has to be said. So having the patience to overcome this and still win, very impressive by Synth. And look, I know people have things to say about the Y cut meta, and I think there's definitely some valid things to be said about it. Maybe Isabella could use a bit of a rework, but I still think that was a very impressive display of skill by Synth. This matchup is quite a grind. It's very, very tough to stay patient the whole time, and Synth did just that. So, very nicely done. Definitely some Hall of Fame performances right there. That was incredible Isabella play. Textbook by and Isabella did great. Sorry, Isabella. The Luck did great too, but yeah, Synth just managed to make that comeback. So Luck against Captain Adler. Just pinging you both. Luck left, that is fine. It really doesn't matter that much. Luck on the left, Captain Adler on the right for the bronze medal match. Yeah, Luck on the left, Captain Adler on the right. Luck going back to Isabella, as he probably should. That was great Isabella gameplay on his part. He just fell a little bit short. He was so close to winning it, but Synth with an incredible comeback. Just the reads on Synth's part too. Like, Luck was trying to take advantage of the ping, and as he should. He's fast. He's all about getting in your face and pushing at times when he sees the opportunity, so he was trying that, and it works on a lot of people, but Synth was able to read it every time and perfectly punish it. So, on a Southeast Asian ping, that's bloody impressive is what that is. Oh, nice. Even rattled the head there. Slashed the skull in half. Luck. Nicely done. Alright, I'll be right back. You guys can carry on fighting, and if I'm not back in time, just feel free to switch sides. Alrighty, and I'm back. Looks like Captain Adler has a slight lead. Pretty close fight so far. Ooh, yeah, left foot forward stance, you're a little bit more vulnerable than right foot forward stance. It does open up offensive opportunities, but it can also leave you in a bad spot. Good exchange there. Luck able to win out there, and he's looking to finish it off. This round, anyway. But we'll see if Captain Adler will let that happen or not. Definitely doesn't want to, I don't think. Ooh, snap cut interrupting the thrust. That was nice by Luck. Yeah, beating Luck to the punch is not easy. Okay, we're switching sides now. Luck on the right side, Captain Adler on the left. Barabash, interesting. Looking to use Barabash's mobility and speed to overcome Tarnopsky's power. Isabella did fine, but maybe Luck thinks Barabash has some tools that'll work better. Right, nice parry riposte there by Luck. Ooh, snap cut into belly lunge or something, and then went low, hitting the leg. That was a cool combo. And it's a double. Snap cut. Interrupting. But Captain Adler hits the cut there, which is much more decisive. Parries the snap cut, but Luck follows it up. And this is what I mean about Luck being a fast player. He's making best use of Barabash with it. Ooh, and he probably should have kept going with the sidestep, but I do see why he preemptively cancelled it. Thrust by Luck doesn't quite finish it, actually, although he did try. Whiff there. And Luck is patient, actually. Belly lunge, back Y, and the snap cut. Thrust there by Captain Adler, not able to secure the kill. Nice. Luck is very precise with these punishes, but Captain Adler's still keeping it close. Double. Punch. Snap cut. Nice exchange. Luck with the sidestep and into the snap cut. That's what allows him to bypass the guard. And the belly lunge, ripping the sword out. I think Luck did some back input. It looked strange, but it was a back input cut of some kind. Snap cut there, wins the trade. Yeah, anybody's game. It looks like Barabash wasn't a bad pick. It's just that it was about just as even as before. The belly lunge, and Luck follows it up. Perfect sequence there. As soon as he gets a hit, he keeps going. Luck needs one more. And Captain Adler will be eliminated. Luck will get third place. And there it is. But very well fought by Captain Adler. Definitely made that a treat to watch. Luck was just a little bit ahead. And yeah, competition was tough. Still, congratulations on fourth place. I think that's still a very admirable spot to get in such a high pressure tournament with high level competition. And might I remind everybody that it was 19 players. Pretty massive event, one of the biggest events we've had in a while. So very well done to get fourth place. If Synth is ready, there's only one more fight we can do. There's no double elimination shenanigans. It's very simple. Synth has to win once, and I have to win once. It's just a straight up best of 3. And that is an advantage of single elimination as well. Just that it ends with one match. It doesn't feel like somebody has the extra life. It makes sense in the context of double elimination why that is. That's how a lot of double eliminations do it for a reason. But you can also do it where it's just one match as well. So there's also that. It doesn't have to be that way in double elimination. But it is often how it is done. Yeah, definitely advantages and disadvantages to both, but people seem to be liking the single elimination format, so we might stick with it if we get these big events in the future. Since you have keyboard now, you can select. Yep, and I wish you good luck. I expect this will be a very, very tough fight, so. Some lag? Oh, All right, synth on the left. Great fight, synth. As Venator said, you're definitely a killer. I had to switch to Yon simply because once more, uh, I needed that reach. So I tried to incorporate cuts, though I wasn't, especially against Isabella. I was basically only cutting. So yeah, that's how I would prefer to play Yon, given the chance. And I'm glad I was able to put that style on display too. But that was a fantastic fight. Very well played. Needed that extra inches of Saber to win. Well deserved second place. And if I didn't make that switch, it is quite possible he would have won. So I genuinely do think I needed Yon to win that. So very impressive making me switch off my main like that. And with that, I'll end the tournament. Won't keep you guys much longer. Just want to thank everybody for coming out to participate. This was a massive event and we completed it within a reasonable amount of time. So we won on both counts there, I would say. Let me just turn off the game capture so I can show you guys the placements. So I got first place, Synth with a well-deserved second place. Could have easily been first, honestly. And Luck as well. Luck was so close to also making it to the finals, and he got the third place. As far as the standings, as you can see here, Captain Adler with the fourth place, but it was very close. Some upsets as well caused some veterans to lose very early on. So it was definitely a very competitive event, very tough event for everybody involved. But GG's to everybody. Uh, the community just would not be what it is without this, without turnouts like this, and just the how much we support each other. And I really love the community that we built together. If nothing else, we might have some grievances about the game, but I think that's the most important thing, that our community has still survived and that we're still together. So with that, thank you for coming out, and I'll see you next time.